So basically 14 T's. I'm using SDR 13.5, which is a lower pressure rating than Schedule 40 PVC, which is more expensive. So a little, not much. And then I got 4 caps. That's optional. That's going to go on the bottom, you know, so it doesn't scratch the floor from the cut PVC. By the way, you can cut PVC with a hacksaw. It's just a lot easier to cut it with a PVC cutter. So you can see I've got 16 12-inch long pieces right here. 2 of them already have the 90-degree bends attached. So those are your 90s. Then I have 2 pieces that are 1.5 inch long. Again, this is all the same size PVC diameter. And then this is 3 that are 24 inches long. Measure 4 times, cut once, because once you cut it, you can't go back. And this is pretty cheap stuff, but so that's the pieces that I have. And then also, the one piece that goes at the top, and this actually goes with the 1.5 inch pieces, is the 19-inch PVC. So there's one piece at 19. And this was kind of trial and error. I did put it together and take it back apart and trim some pieces off that I had made slightly too long, and it was bending the PVC. Now, when you put this together, you don't necessarily want to cement it together the first time if you plan on using PVC cement, which I am not. But there are some pieces that need to move if you want a folding rack. So you do have to pay attention to what you glue together and not. So I suggest not gluing it together until you have everything the way you want it. So once you get this is a ratcheting cutter. They also make a kind that basically goes around the PVC and scores it a billion times until you cut it, and it's just a pain. To me, this ratcheting type is much better. I'm going to do this in the middle. Once you get it on the mark that you've made, your measurement, try to get it as straight as possible. Hold it if you can. Keep it straight when it gets started. And you just basically ratchet it down until it goes through the pipe and snips it like that. So you can see here, this is the part that's going to move, basically, when you fold it together and unfold it. I'm going to put this thing together. Basically, it doesn't really matter how you put it together, but I'm going to start with the upper part first and just work my way down. Basically, these are the 2 that have the elbows already on there, and I'm going to take that and stick the 1.5 inch pieces in. If you find that your pieces that are short got out of round a little bit, you can kind of use either a large wrench or this thing to kind of put it back in round so it actually fits into the hole. I did have that happen. I want these to be pretty snug, so I'm just going to push down on it, like put it on a hard surface like a piece of wood or something, and just push down so the piece goes all the way in. And then on that, you're going to assemble a T like that. Same thing. I'm going to put that kind of at an angle. See how it's at an angle a little bit? Because it's going to be folded out to start. So then push that down really hard and make sure it goes in really well. And then the next piece is going to be your 19-inch piece. And that's going to go in to that T. Push down, make sure everything gets on there really well. And then when you put your next T on, and also, little side note, the black writing on the PVC doesn't bother me, but I'm going to make sure that's not where my clothing touches it. So I'm going to put it on the inside and the bottom as you're looking at the rack. So I'm going to kind of pay attention to that as I go along and make sure that's, I mean, it's not a big deal. I did clean this PVC before I started working with it because it was pretty nasty. But anyway, so you're going to take another T and you're going to put that T on at the same angle. So if you see, well, it's kind of pointed in the same direction. And again, just push it down on the floor, make sure it goes in really hard. And then the next piece is your next short piece, 1.5. Same thing, push down. And then the next piece is going to be your other 90. And again, slide it right on there. So you want to make sure you don't glue any of the top pieces if you want it to be able to fold in. I mean, it's not going to be super great as far as folding goes, but I'm going to leave that unglued for sure if I ever glue the other pieces back together. So now you have your top part, and what I would do next is just lay that down for a minute and take and start assembling your legs. So there's already one leg in here, right there. So there's going to be a T, I say leg, it's part of your leg. It's a 12-inch piece, a T, 12-inch piece, T, and then until you get to your bottom piece. Okay, so I don't want you to have to watch every single piece of this, but notice what I did was I've got 3 horizontal rungs. So I've got 1, 2, 3 T's. And then I have my last piece and I put my little cap on that end. So I'm going to assemble this whole leg. I've got 3 rungs, so I want 3 T's. I also made my black writing go on the inside. I don't know, I think it just looks better because you can't see it. Whoops, missed on that one. Turn it. Before you push it in really hard, twist it to where you want it, because once you push it in, it's going to stay in, and sometimes it'll come apart and sometimes not. So I'm just going to take that piece, push down, push down, push down, just get it in there really, really well. And it's pretty hard to get apart when you try by yourself. And then I'm going to take the piece that I already assembled right here, and I'm going to put this on right there. And so I'm going to use the floor and my legs to kind of get that together really hard, okay? So now I've got one leg done. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and assemble the other leg. So I've got the other leg assembled, but the thing that I'm going to do a little differently here is I'm going to go ahead and put the cross pieces in this side. So the cross pieces on the outside are the pieces that are the longest, which are the 24-inch pieces. So now that I'm all organized, I got my 24-inch pieces, make sure my black writing, find my bottom, which is where my cap is, and then I'm going to put this piece oriented the right way and go ahead and put it in here. Again, you know, get it oriented right, then shove it in really good. The best I can. And it might help if you have an extra hand here. I mean, you can do it by yourself, but just line everything up. Don't shove anything in really hard yet. Make sure it gets lined up first. And then once you get everything at least aimed in the right direction, now you've got, you know, one side of your frame. You can, again, put it down on the ground and just kind of put your weight on it and get it pushed in really, really well. Notice I kept those angled out right here because that's going to be the other part of my frame going that way. So same process. You're going to be using your 12-inch pieces that way, and then you're going to be using your 19.5-inch pieces that way. So I'm assembling my other 2 legs, and I'm laughing now because I noticed I am not using 3/4-inch PVC. I think originally that's what I had thought. And then we had a massive freeze recently, and the PVC aisle got decimated from homeowners who had leaks from our massive freeze, because we're not equipped for that, apparently. So anyway, I used 1/2-inch PVC, not 3/4-inch PVC. And yet, for some reason in my head, the whole time I've been building this, I said 3/4-inch PVC for whatever reason. By the way, it is stamped on every single piece of PVC. So it's hilarious that I'm losing my mind enough to where I didn't really pay attention while I was talking about it. But anyway, so we're finishing up the shorter horizontal cross piece legs. the part that folds in. So 2 pieces go into these top parts right here. Again, I'm going to make sure my black writing's on the inside. By the way, 1/2 inch PVC is cheaper, not much. If you wanted to go 3/4 inch PVC, it would be fine. It wouldn't hurt a thing. But it's, let's see, is it going to change your dimensions? I don't know if the dimensions and the fittings for the 3/4 is the same as a 1/2 or not. So you might have to remeasure some things. And personally, I think a 1/2 is plenty big. 3/4 is, you can't really tell just looking at it, but it's a little thicker. So I don't see the point in paying more if you don't need to. So now you see I've got same process. I've now got my frame to where it almost stands by itself. It's got 3 legs like my dog. So take your last leg and go ahead and put these in. Make sure they were all the same. So here you see we got it almost together, and this is where you're just gonna have to use maybe your body weight or whatever, pull it together and snug it up so it'll stay together for the most part. And then you can see if it's gonna actually stand, and yeah, it looks like it is. And so see what I mean when I say, oh, here, I didn't get that piece in good enough. The PVC cement, I'll probably end up coming back and putting that cement in just because I may fold this more than the average person. I don't have enough space to leave it out. So I haven't actually figured out this last little part here. When you put heavy stuff on here, it's going to want to kick apart at the bottom. So I thought about this, and I didn't want to spend any more money, so I found some garbage stuff I have in my garage. And something like this, actually this is pretty cheap, this little wire at Home Depot or wherever. I just didn't know exactly, like the crimping part. There's these little things you can crimp to make these loops. And the best thing would be to buy a piece of this, 2 crimps, loop it around the bottom, the right size, crimp it, and then the same thing with the other bottom. And then when you fold it up, it's just hanging there. So basically it would keep this from going apart at the bottom. You could put one on each side, or you could just put one in the middle. I think would be fine. This is going to do for now. I found a couple of pieces of twine, and I just tied the middle rungs together, and it's easily cut off if I find something better, more durable. But it'll keep the legs from splaying out while I dry heavier things. And I can still fold it up and slide it between my washer and dryer. So all's good.